the opening line report. Kelly Stewart here on this Monday morning. Teddy Covers joining us as always as we go through the NFL slate. Tell you when you need to bet them. Tell you if you need to wait. Of course, we're going to get some of those emergency betting alerts. Teddy, you've been rocking and rolling on End Zone Live. I've really enjoyed watching you guys. Had some really great live bets yesterday. But ultimately, it was just a chalk-eating weasel, at least of a morning.
Yeah, and guys, if you haven't seen End Zone Live yet, check it out. Or we're doing it every Sunday right here on WagerTalk TV. We go live for the early games, so it's about 3.5 hours, and there's always a group of us. So there's lots of we flick each other in the ear, we make fun of each other. It's and yet we provide a lot of good commentary on what's going on in the sports betting world as things are going live. So if you haven't watched it, I encourage you check it out every Sunday right here on WagerTalk TV. When we talk about chalk-eating weasels, well. Favorites of -7 or higher yesterday. What did we have? Houston beat Arizona by 20. Philly beat Vegas 31-0. Jacksonville beat the Jets 48-20. Chicago beat Cleveland 31-3. San Fran with the late field goal against Tennessee to win by exactly 13. -12.5 in that game. There were 13s out there. So the only point spread loss for the chalk-eating weasels was Seattle, a -13 in the Phillip Rivers Bowl, 18-16 final. Dogs outright. I had the Saints. They beat the Panthers. The Commanders beat the G-Men. The Chargers beat the Chiefs. We'll talk a lot about that today, obviously. And the Broncos upset the Packers. But, 3 of the 4 dogs that won outright were dogs of, a field goal or less.
Yeah, and they were kind of, if you will, public dogs, right? There were a couple of dogs I was surprised to see get that money from the betting public. We'll get into some of these here in just a minute. Teddy Covers Monday Night Football is about 9 hours away. Do you have anything up right now on WagerTalk.com that our audience needs to know about? The Miami Dolphins are taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So I have a free pick video up on my page over at WagerTalk.com, wt.buzz/TC. Just go to WagerTalk.com or just go to the free picks page, and you can see my take on the total for tonight's game between the Dolphins and the Steelers. Just tweeted out just a few minutes ago. It's video recorded over the weekend, so you can check that out right now for free on my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. As of this moment, I have not posted anything for Monday night. It's been a little bit of a hectic morning. We get done with the show, we'll post what we're going to post for today. So I apologize for not having everything up bright and early this morning, but some mornings are like that, and I'd rather take my time and do it right than rush and post something, just to have it up there. So. We'll
Absolutely. We're looking for quality, not quantity here on Opening Line Report. Teddy, I bet against both these teams yesterday, and one worked out well for me and the other not so much. But the reason why is because I was taking a page out of our good friend Marco D'Angelo's book, a little bit of a sandwich game. Now, maybe that Lions-Rams game meant a little bit more to the Rams than I thought it did. But Seattle just slept walk versus Indianapolis. It was mind-boggling. How many field goals did they kick? 6 field goals, was it, to win that football game? Just a snooze fest. Phillip Rivers almost cashed as an $8 underdog. Break down Thursday Night Football for me.
Let's start by opening the show with an emergency betting alert right from the get-go. Look ahead line here, Seattle -1, 46.5. My power rate number, Seattle -1.5. The market's open with the Rams as the favorites, -1/1.5, 44.5 total last night. What are we seeing this morning? The money's already coming for the Seahawks. Again, look ahead line has Seahawks favored. The Rams left yesterday's game with questions, big questions, in terms of their health of their receivers, most notably Devontae Adams, who hurt his hamstring, and Adams, an impact player for that team. He's already had 2 other instances this season where he's been limited by hamstring injury. So that is a significant concern for LA for this ballgame. But what we've seen, again, the injury report not good for the Rams right now. What we've seen, the 1.5 for the Rams last night is now, I'm seeing there's still some 1.5s out there. The leading indicator books already get pick 'em for this ball game for Seattle. I'm anticipating Seahawks money based on the injury report for the LA Rams. So if you like Seattle, bet them sooner rather than later. There's some urgency to this. The markets are already moving. That said, there's things to like about the Rams. I mean, back-to-back weeks of 500-plus yards of offense for the LA Rams. They had 6 trips to the red zone yesterday, scored 4 touchdowns. And they faced some adversity yesterday, which is a good thing for teams when they overcome it. At this stage of the season, I like teams that have proven that they can overcome adversity. The Rams trailed, the biggest deficit in 2 months when they fell 10 points behind Detroit, and then pretty much dominated the rest of the game. Nose tackle Kobe Turner. When we're firing on all cylinders, man, you put your foot on the gas and you leave everybody behind. They did clinch a playoff spot with the win over Detroit yesterday. It's the 7th time in 9 seasons under Sean McVay that they've been a playoff team. But the Rams, with the Devontae Adams, and of course Puka left the game yesterday as well. He returned, but we'll see if there's lingering issues there. There could be. And Seattle played a bad game yesterday. It was a bad spot. It was a flat spot. They were going against a 44-year-old quarterback. The offensive line got pushed around. I'll give Indy's defense some credit. They came to play. And Seattle was a little bit flat. They only had 50 rushing yards in the ball game. The offense didn't reach the end zone. You talked about Jason Myers kicking the franchise record 6 field goals. Myers is a weapon route. He leads the NFL with 154 points. He's 24 of his last 25 field goals. The only miss, a 61-yarder during that span. Seattle's going to take money. They've already taken a little bit of money. I expect they're going to take more.
I'm back here waiting in the wings, trying to see if I can find some teaser opportunities with the Seahawks, and I'm looking at a couple other ones. We'll get into them here in just a minute. Teddy, here's the next one down on your list, and this is I don't know what to make of this Packers team yesterday. I put them in my Super Contest entries. I bet them early, and then I ended up teasing the Broncos. Broncos, another game. They just figure out a way to win at home. The Bears thought this was an ultimate flat spot against the Browns yesterday. Was watching the game with Grandma. She said, I can't believe you took the Browns plus 7.5 in your contest. I said, Grandma, they play Packers and then Packers. This is a total sandwich spot. Yet only one of these teams lost. The other one absolutely dominated. Kind of talk to me about this divisional rivalry. 2 teams that are jockeying for first place here in the NFC North.
Sure. Look headline here. Green Bay -3, total 45.5. My powering number after the game and after the Pack. We're going to talk a lot about injuries because there were impact injuries yesterday. After the Packers' injuries in that ball game yesterday, my powering number came Chicago -1. So that's a 4-point move off the look headline of Packers -3. The markets opened Green Bay. There were -1.5, -2s last night. And that's basically what we're seeing today. Mostly -1.5 out there for the Packers. There are some -2s. Total sitting 46.5. So an uptick from what we saw on the look headline. For Green Bay, they were up 23-14 in Denver. They forced a Broncos punt and were in position to really take control of that game. And then what happened? Jordan Love INT on the next play. They gave up a touchdown on each of the next 3 drives. And the offense couldn't move the ball at all down the stretch. 55 total yards for Green Bay on their last 6 drives combined. We talk about the injuries, and you're going to hear a lot about Micah Parsons. We'll talk about him in a minute. Christian Watson matters for this offense. Yes, Green Bay has wide receiver depth, but Watson's their big play weapon. He's the guy who stretches the field. They miss him when he's out. He was in the hospital last night in Milwaukee. He was in the hospital last night in Denver. They did fly home with the Packers. We'll have to see how healthy he's going to be. And then obviously Micah Parsons, who's been, an impact player from the first day they got him. Looks like he tore his ACL in a non-contact injury. And boy, what was the difference yesterday? Denver 4 of 4 in the red zone. Green Bay 1 of 4 in the red zone. Now they fall behind the Bears, so they're looking up at Chicago in the standings, and they're laying points at Soldier Field. Matt LaFleur after the game talking about what they have to do. I told the guys, quote, nobody's going to feel sorry for us. Everyone's going to have to elevate their play, and that's the truth. It's a team right now that was a bad loss yesterday, and it was a costly loss for Green Bay. As for Chicago, their defense controlled the flow like it's done all year. We talk all about Caleb Williams. The true talk about Chicago is their league-leading 30 takeaways this season. 3 more yesterday. They held Cleveland to 9 first downs. This defense is changing games just about every week. Shador had 3 interceptions, was sacked 5 times. And, oh, by the way, they stuffed the run to the tune of Judkins had 12 rushes for 21 yards. Sanders after the game, I like the quotes from the opposing team about the team they just faced. Sanders, quote, "They had a great defensive scheme. I enjoyed playing that. It was definitely a challenge. I look forward to learning from that." Bears defense is making noise right now. Packers defense got gashed a little bit yesterday.
All right, let's talk about defenses getting gashed because Dan Alexander really wants to hear about his team getting absolutely worked. And now they have to play a Commanders team. Hey, I know that it wasn't, some prolific offense that they had to play yesterday, but boy, did the Washington Commanders kind of come out of nowhere.
They played the Giants, but they played well. Look at line here. Philadelphia, 5.5, 45. My powering number has Eagles -7 over Washington. The market's open 6. There were 45s and 44.5s last night. And what are we seeing right now at the Odds Logic live odds screen? 6, 45, 44.5, the prevailing number. There are a couple of 5.5s out there for Philadelphia, but the prevailing number is 6. Again, my powering number says it should be 7. Philly, pretty dominant yesterday, 27-7 first downs. They had 40 minutes of possession. They went 10 of 13 on third downs. They didn't turn the ball over. Excuse me. And they allowed only 75 total yards. Their first shutout in 7 years. They scored more than 21 points on offense for the first time in 6 games. Saquon Barkley, quote, "I feel like we got caught up in stuff that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is winning football." And, Philly has had more than their share of off-field distractions this season. As for Washington, they had a punt return touchdown yesterday. They snapped an 8-game skid. Marcus Mariota, we talked about it when Daniels came back. I'm like, Mariota's been fine. Quarterback hasn't been their problem. He only had 10 completions, but he averaged more than 11 yards per pass attempt. Debo making plays, McLaurin making plays. Washington's offense looked like it's supposed to look this year. The quotes after the game, Mariota, "There's nothing like a winning locker room. It's hard to go 2 months without winning a football game. You're snapping an 8-game skid. There's celebration in the NFL." McLaurin, quote, "It feels amazing to win a football game. It's been a long season. You come out here and you get a win. You really appreciate that feeling." So Washington, the effort was there yesterday. The production was there yesterday, but obviously some of that has to do with the fact they faced an opponent that's a lot weaker than the Philadelphia Eagles.
You just mentioned the Browns, and what a pitiful performance, it was by Shedeur Sanders. 3 interceptions was the demise of his team. Now Buffalo, who was, just another great second-half performance by them over their divisional rival, the Patriots, now head to Cleveland as a double-digit favorite.
Sure, look-ahead line here was Bills -8.5/-9. Total 41.5. Of course, the look-ahead lines are bettable lines on this game from last week, so we can see how much 1 week affected the point spread. My powering number after yesterday's game, and again, the powering numbers are just Team A, Team B, home field. Does not factor in situation. You do worry about situation a little bit here for Buffalo coming off a pretty big come-from-behind win yesterday. My powering number has the Bills 9. The markets opened 10 and 42.5 last night. And let's do it right now for the total. Emergency betting alert. Why? If you like the under window right now, there's a 43 out there. There are 42.5s out there. The market's going to 42. And 42 a key number when it comes to total. The market could go lower than that depending on the weather forecast in Cleveland this weekend. Bottom line, if you like Bills, Browns under, there is urgency and numbers. Again, you can find a 43 right now and a 42.5. I'm not convinced those are going to be there 24 hours from now. So urgency for Bills, Browns to the under. Buffalo allowed 246 rushing yards yesterday. They allowed 2 50-plus yards, Travion Henderson touchdowns. You worry about this defense. They gave up 7.5 yards per play, gained only 5.2, and won the game. Reached 10 wins for the 7th consecutive season. Josh Allen, quote, "No matter what the score is, if it's in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, whatever it is, we got a chance and we got the ball. We feel like we like our chances." And that's what you have when you have a franchise QB like Josh Allen behind center. 3 times this year, Buffalo's come back from double-digit deficits. They beat Baltimore in the opener. They beat Cincinnati. And they did it again yesterday against New England. So it's a Bills team that's showing and proving to us they can withstand adversity. I do worry about that run defense, but Cleveland's not exactly running the football particularly well. I talked about how the Browns struggled yesterday in terms of 3 picks for Shedeurs, who was sacked 5 times. They couldn't run the ball, and there was no way to rally from behind in that game. There wasn't much fight. The temperature kickoff was 8 degrees. Cleveland now 1-6 straight up their last 7, and of those 6 losses, only one of them has come by less than a touchdown during that span. Kevin Stefanski talking about his rookie QB. Quote, he's a young player that's making progress, and we talked about that all week. I see it in games. I can see it in practice. There are going to be ups and downs for young players, particularly the quarterback position. We'll learn from it, and we'll be better next week. That, to me, is a perfect quote. That's true about Shedeur. There's going to be ups and downs. He is a rookie who, is going to come in, and there'll be games like yesterday. It doesn't mean every game will be like yesterday, but certainly yesterday was not pretty if you had Cleveland plus the points.
This game's not going to be pretty, Teddy. The Jets are headed to New Orleans, but I will say this. Is it crazy to say that there is a resurgence in this New Orleans Saints team? Tyler Shaw playing clean football, if you will. They have nothing to play for, but it seems like they're having a really good time.
Yeah, they made me money yesterday. So I don't know if there's going to be a long-term resurgence, but the Saints were one of those that I just couldn't talk myself out of yesterday. And when they were down 10, I wasn't thrilled with the wager, but obviously they came back and made all the plays down the stretch. Tyler Shuck's proving to be, and again, when you're a 26-year-old quarterback who played 5 years at 3 different colleges, you have more experience in more systems, and you have maybe more potential as a rookie than some of these QBs. Look at line here. There were 3s for the Saints and 3.5s, 39.5 for the total. My powering number for the game came 4.5. The markets opened 4 and 40.5 last night. The 4.5s have mostly been taken out. There's still a handful out there. If you want the under, bet it now. 4, the prevailing number as we speak. There are some 4.5s out there as well, but I don't know if there's a huge sense of urgency in that regard. And the Jets have been rough. All right, their yards per play 7.4 to 4.2 yesterday in Jacksonville. Steve Wilks, who was a big back over the summer. One of my big notes is Steve Wilks as DC ? Exclamation point, question mark. Because Wilks had like each of his last 5 jobs has ended after 1 year, or he's ended being fired. And I'm like, that's the tired retread. And this defense, 2 weeks ago, they gave up touchdowns in their first 3 drives. This last week, they gave up touchdowns in their first 3 drives. And when you're giving up opponents scoring touchdowns in your first 3 drives of the game, and you're starting an undrafted rookie QB in Brady Cook, you ain't going to win. They allowed their most points since they lost to New England in 2021, 54-13. And the injury list for the Jets on defense is a mile long. They started, I think, 3 or 4 rookies yesterday. An undrafted rookie QB. It's not going to be a pretty ending of the season for the Jets, and it hasn't been a pretty ending in recent weeks. And they've been playing like a true bottom feeder of late. As for the Saints, I mean, Tyler Shuck's making me money, man. They're 3-3 in Shuck's 6 starts. Kellen Moore, his steadiness is really special. He made some big time plays. Defensive end Chase Young. Every week, I can see he's getting more comfortable. He just started to look like that guy. Whatever he's doing, we got to get him to keep doing it. 8.5 yards per pass attempt yesterday. He was the leading rusher as well. No turnovers, a 27-15 first down edge. The Saints are playing a little bit better than their record would indicate. The question is, now they've beaten the divisional rival, can they do it again? Back-to-back wins for New Orleans. Is that the type of team you want to lay a price with in week number 3?
I don't know, Teddy. I'm not sure I'm ready to lay the points with New Orleans, but I want no part of this Jets team. Another team that I thought I wanted no part of, and then I saw a tweet last night, and I bet the Vikings laid, and hey, they get eliminated from the postseason, and all of a sudden they want to win back-to-back football games. What do you think about this Giants team that just got blown out yesterday? Now, laying points on the road here with the Vikings.
Yeah, so look ahead line here, Minnesota -1.5, 43. My powering number comes Vikings -2. The markets last night there were 2.5s and 44.5s out there, and today we're seeing 3s as well as the 2.5s out there. There are still plenty of 2.5s, and given what Minnesota did in Dallas on national TV, I understand look-ahead line is only 1.5. I understand my powering number is only 2. I would not be shocked at all if the 2.5s get bought up to 3. Here, leading indicator books are already at 3. The Vegas books are already at 3. Let's do one more emergency betting alert before we're all said and done. Bet them now. The Giants' last win came before they allowed 33 points in the fourth quarter at Denver. They're 0-8 straight up in their last 8 ball games, 4-4 against the spread during that span. The point spread's always a great equalizer. But yesterday they gave up a punt return touchdown. They moved up to the number 1 spot for the draft next spring. A team that's already fired their coach, which means the interim coach, how much do the Giants want to win these games? As an organization, the players do. As an organization, it does not behoove them to win games down the stretch. It really doesn't. Jackson Dart again went in concussion protocol yesterday. He's only been back 2 weeks since his last time in concussion protocol. His quote, "I've never gone this long without a win in my career. I know that isn't going to be the case for the future, and things are going to eventually turn around. I definitely have that in my mind. Obviously, the team, we want to get that switched immediately." Maybe. Minnesota, again, you talked about they were eliminated before kickoff after winning 14 games last year and then won back-to-back games, and we're the much better team in Dallas last night. And really, that was a Brian Flores game. Flores flummoxed Dak Prescott in the red zone, and it was a J.J. McCarthy game. McCarthy, it's only his 8th NFL game, all right? Quote, "I think that just experience, getting to my 8th game and just feeling more and more comfortable in the pocket, seeing the defenses, just another piece of the puzzle." He had 250 passing yards. He wasn't sacked. He averaged 10.4 yards per pass attempt. Jalen Naylor, it's just a thing to keep building on the rest of the way and leading into next year. We just have a 1-game mindset, no matter what our record is. Not surprised that we've seen some Vikings money already. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more, given the different trajectories of these two teams in recent weeks.
Teddy, I have a funny friend gambling group chat, and the first text I woke up to this morning was to Ariel Epstein, ask her if she was going to go to this game, and it said, "Ariel, are you going to go watch your Ravens play my Patriots?" And I laughed. I said, "Wait, are the Ravens still on the outside looking into the playoffs? Like, what are we looking at here for this team?" Talk to me about the Patriots off that divisional loss, Baltimore off that divisional win, and if you think the Baltimore Ravens have a chance here to salvage their season.
Of course, they definitely have a chance to salvage their season. They're very much live in the NFC North, or the AFC North, I should say. They're going to have to get another chance with Pittsburgh to make these. I'm just pulling up the standings, so I got them right here, which I probably should have had before I went on the show, but you know how that stuff is. Pittsburgh's 7-6, and they play tonight. Baltimore 7-7. So we're not talking about a huge difference between the two teams. And even if Pittsburgh wins tonight, the Ravens will have a chance against the Steelers. They still meet. But again, look at line here, Baltimore -1.5, 47.5. My powering number, Baltimore -1, which surprised me. Last night, we saw Ravens 2.5 and 48.5 as the prevailing number on the Odds Logic live odds screen. And today, that's basically what we're seeing, 2.5s and 3s out there for the Ravens. This will be the Sunday night game this next week. And it's a split market right now. I don't know that we're going to see 3s. I'm not going to emergency betting alert it right here. But if you like New England, you can find a +3 right now. I don't think you're going to see 3.5s for this ball game. So it wouldn't hurt you. They're out there. And some sense I feel like I should emergency betting alert, because if you like New England, you can find 3s right now. And I don't know where this is going. Baltimore still has a lot of betting market support. They only ran 40 plays the whole game on offense yesterday, 7.9 yards per play. They went 0 for 1 in the red zone. It feels to me like this offense is still a little bit broken. Lamar only had 2 carries. Then again, when Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell are running 19 times for 166 yards on the ground, you don't need Lamar Jackson to run the football. You can have a broken offense. You can run the football that effectively. And they just big play after big play from the running game yesterday. And, of course, the divisional revenge felt meaningful, especially when you lost that first meeting at home, and then it's relatively short turnaround like we saw against Cincy yesterday. Defensive back Aloy Gilman, who was part of that pick 6 that really turned the game completely in Baltimore's favor yesterday. Quote, "I think we were pissed off we lost them the first time. I'm not going to lie. it was good to get out there and put that on tape, let everyone know that we're ready to roll. Since that 1-5 start, Ravens 6-2 straight up, 4-4 ATS, the great equalizer, the point spread. 5 of those 6 wins have come against teams with losing records. As for the Patriots, I mean, Drake May wasn't good enough yesterday. They're up 21-0, and they kind of took their foot off the gas pedal. May 14-23, 155, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times. When you have the 2 big play touchdowns, the second big play touchdown from Travion Henderson might have hurt them as much as it helped them, because it put the entire defense back on the field, and Josh Allen was able to pick them apart. They needed a kind of a one. They didn't need a 1-play drive. They needed an extended drive in that situation. You can't you look at a big play touchdown and go, "Oh, that was a wrong thing." But in that instance, it didn't help the Patriots like it should have. That being said, the offense got shut down after halftime. Drake May, quote, "We just have to be better when we're up. I don't feel like we're relaxed. We just didn't make enough plays." The betting market disrespect for New England was very much on display yesterday. All the money came for Buffalo late. And this, too, is showing us betting market disrespect for a New England Patriots team that there's still question marks about, even though they're still on top of the AFC East.
All right, a team that is just sliding, reeling, if you will, here in South Florida. That would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. It has been a rough go for this team. Panthers, as we just mentioned, Teddy, I was on the Saints yesterday, but I didn't have as much guts as you did, so I put them in a teaser. I will gladly take that as well. Carolina was kind of my pick at 4-1 to win this South Division. Talk about Tampa Bay's recent slide. Carolina, do they get back on track here?
Sure, and of course, the Bucs and Panthers will meet twice in the final 3 weeks of the regular season. This meeting won't decide anything. It's likely to be the second of the 2 meetings who's going to decide who's going to win this division. That being said, there's certainly urgency when you have 2 teams tied at the top of the division. There's 3 weeks left, and you're having your first matchup of the year between them. Look at line here: Tampa 2.5, 44.5. My powering number: Tampa only -1. The market's open 2.5, 45.5 last night. We're seeing lots of 3s out there. In fact, we're seeing almost all 3s out there right now for the Tampa Bay Bucs, despite all their struggles. Again, 1-5 straight up, 0-6 against the spread since the beginning of November. The only win came by 3 against Arizona, and they couldn't hold a lead in that game. I had them that week, and I remember that I was like, what are they doing out there? And they haven't done any better since. They hung on for the W, but it wasn't pretty. So 0-6 ATS slide. Can't get off the field on 3rd and 28 or 4th and 14 to win the game. Baker Mayfield not blaming the defense for not being able to get off the field on 3rd and 28 and 4th and 14. Quote, "This one's going to haunt me. It falls on my shoulder. It's not the defense's fault. It's my fault." First time all year, Baker's had the full complement of receivers available. And this team is loaded with weapons right now. Whether it's Mike Evans or Jalen McMillan both coming back to the lineup. I mean, there's, no shortage. Bucky Irving's healthy. And Ibuka has been one of the rookie of the year candidates. I mean, there are weapons all over the field right now for Tampa that there weren't a month ago. Todd Bowles ripped into the team after the game. We'll see how they respond. Quote, "You don't make excuses. You got to bleeping care enough what the bleep hurts. It's got to bleeping mean something to you. It's more than a job. It's your bleeping livelihood. How well do you know your job? How well can you do your job? You can't sugarcoat that bleep." Yeah, Todd Bowles was not amused. We'll see how Tampa responds to that. They could respond positively. Maybe not so much. As for Carolina, again, I bet against them yesterday. This is not a Panthers team I trust. When you look at the power rating, my power rating numbers are going to playoff contenders. Carolina, I believe they're at the very bottom of teams that are, in contention to win a division title. Dowdle and Hubbard, 24-78, barely 3 yards per carry. And when they can't run, they can't win. And that was the essence of my Saints bet yesterday. Bryce Young made plays. They converted 7 third downs. They converted some low percentage throws there, but receivers are making plays. And yet, at the end of the game, he's finished with 163 passing yards. Bryce Young, quote, "It was just a lack of execution. We're a team that prides ourselves on the finish, and we just didn't get that done today. It's not going to feel good for 24 hours. We have a locker room full of guys who want to do better." This one could come down to who's hungrier. And the Bucs have won 5 straight division titles. The Panthers are a hungry team. If they're not, the question is, are they good enough?
We're going to find out. That's the good news when these two get to play each other. Teddy covers really quickly. Shout out to over almost 2,100 of you guys right now watching us live, either on social media or the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Special shout out to those WagerTalk insiders here in the comment section. Teddy, how's your NFL season been going over the past couple of weeks? I know that you were a little displeased there, but now it seems like you're pretty chipper, which kind of tells me you've been cashing some nice tickets.
Yeah, I was more than displeased. I was freaking pissed because, you know what? Look, I work the NFL hard, all right? I do. I watch I'm watching every Sunday. I'm reading every quote. I'm going through every injury report. This is the sport I'm supposed to beat. And when I'm not beating it, I get frustrated. And so the last couple of weeks have been real good. 6-1 with the last over the last 2 weekends in the NFL. We're making money right now. And there's a really good deal if you guys want to still take advantage. Promo code Super Bowl 189 at checkout. It's only going to be good, I think, for another hour or two. But it's promo code Super Bowl 189 at checkout. We'll get to the rest of my NFL season right through the Super Bowl for $189. And there's no nonsense. There's no BS. There's no bait and switch. Every play, every day, every prop, every side, every total, right through the Super Bowl. What is it? Super Bowl 60. Check out my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. Click on the NFL season pass and then use that promo code Super Bowl 189 to get on board for the rest of the year.
All right, Teddy, I got to cash my Chiefs 3-1, no playoffs, Chiefs under 11.5 wins, but I didn't want it to do like this. I didn't want Patrick Mahomes hurt, ACL tear for the star quarterback there of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now they're on the road here. I believe it's Gardner Minshew that will be getting the nod as the starter at the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, we're going to see a pretty big difference between the look-ahead line and the actual line for this ball game. Look-ahead line here, KC minus 10.5 total, 41. My powering number with Gardner Minshew. And we talk about how to adjust. You have to adjust for Gardner Minshew versus Patrick Mahomes, and you have to adjust for a Kansas City team that's played in the last 5 Super Bowls, now being eliminated from the playoffs. I adjusted 7.5 points. My powering number came Kansas City 2.5. The markets opened 3/3.5, 37.5 last night. Again, look at here was 41 for Chiefs Titans. And what are we seeing? We're seeing threes, mostly 3.5. So really a split line 3.5. I'm not seeing the urgency to take the plus 3.5 or the bet the minus 3s right now. Total 37.5 for this one. And Minshew's a pretty big drop off from Patrick Mahomes. By pretty big, I mean as big as the biggest drop off between a quarterback starting QB and a backup in the league. And of course, Mahomes, the torn ACL. He's going to have surgery. He'll be out but potentially into next season. Mahomes, quote, don't know why this had to happen. I'm not going to lie. It hurts. All we do now is trust in God and attack every single day over and over again. Kansas City, no running game yesterday. Running backs 19 to 30, 19 carries, 34 yards, along of 7. That being said, they're facing Tennessee. Tennessee's the worst team in the league still. The defense, I talked about that about like a month ago or two. I thought the defense had potential. No. Cam Ward had no picks, no sacks, no quit. They had 2 fourth-quarter scoring drives after falling behind by 3 touchdowns. Tennessee's been okay at coming through the back door this year, but the defense has been struggling. First, they give up 29 to the Browns. Here, they didn't force a 49ers punt. Interim head coach Mike McCoy, you got to be able to get off the field. You convert at a high rate, that percentage, it's tough. That's when you give up all the points. So you got to be able to get off the field on third downs. They haven't been able to do that. No, by the way, I think their top 3 safeties all left with injuries yesterday and did not return. Tennessee's defensive concerns likely to continue moving forward.
Not good news for either one of those teams, Teddy. But let's talk about, the good news was for the Chargers, right? They took a step forward in the AFC West. The Cowboys, woo! I was not expecting the Vikings to win outright, but like I said, I saw some line move there late, and I thought, I better jump on board with the Vikings. This Cowboys team looked improved there for a few weeks. Last night, though, they got absolutely gashed by a quarterback that, I'd say is mediocre at best. What's Justin Herbert going to do to this team now?
Well, I don't know how much Justin Herbert can do right now. Herbert
hand injury.
He's as banged up as a quarterback gets, and every week You read the quotes from all around the Chargers talking about how tough this guy is and how much they respect him for being tough. Look ahead line here. Cowboys -2.5, 48.5. My powering number, and you have to adjust for Dallas after that loss yesterday, the back-to-back losses for the Cowboys. Chargers -1 was my powering number. The markets, there were 1.5 for Dallas and 49 at the open yesterday. And then the look ahead, and that's kind of what I'm seeing today, 1.5, 49.5 for the Cowboys as favorites over the Chargers. The Chargers 6-1 straight up, 5-2 against the spread their last 7 games. They just beat both Super Bowl teams from last year over the last 2 weeks. They swept Kansas City, knocked them out of the playoffs. They knocked out Philly in overtime the previous week. Harbaugh, quote, "This is a ball team. Starting to think this is my favorite ball team I've ever been on. I've been on a lot of teams, none better than this team. It's a ball team, a real ball team. Love these guys." Derwin James talking about the importance of beating Kansas City. Quote, "We know what that team has done the last 8-9 years. Coming into Arrowhead and getting a win means a lot for our team because we're 5-0 in our division. This, not a division game." Do we worry about a letdown? Potentially. But, the Cowboys, you can't give up 34 to Minnesota and get no sacks on McCarthy and expect to be a playoff team. Brian Flores, stymied Dak in the red zone, 2 of 5 in the red zone for Dallas. They have to win their last 3 and hope Philly goes 0-3 to make the playoffs. So they're still alive. They're saying there's still a chance, but last night's loss effectively ended their season. Dak Prescott, definitely surprised, especially to get rolling like we did for those few weeks and watch the confidence just skyrocket, stopping teams, scoring at will, coming back from 21 points down. A lot of good wins there. That to be in this position just reminds you every play matters. It's a hard game. Dallas now sitting 6-7-1, a sub-500 team as we approach Week 15.
Teddy, talk to me about some of these teams where they're maybe headed in opposite directions, but still have an outside shot to make the playoffs. What are we looking at this far into the season? I want to kind of sift through the narratives and some of the BS. I know power ratings reign supreme, but at the end of the day, have certain teams quit. Let's get into this Bengals Dolphins team. The Bengals just absolutely worked, right? They rushed back Joe Burrow. It seemed to be a good thing, right? They win on Thanksgiving. They almost beat the Bills. Then yesterday, Ravens get their revenge. Kind of talk to me about, I don't know, maybe the mental well-being of some of these teams. Like, I see the comments. Oh, the Jets quit. Oh, this team quit. Well, the Saints didn't quit. What are we thinking about the Bills here at the Dolphins? Or excuse me, the Bengals here at the Dolphins. Excuse me.
Bengals Dolphins is not next up for me. I'm sorry.
I'm going off Dan Alexander's slide. I apologize. I did not have this up. Cardinals Falcons, we're going to go up next. This is actually a better segue because neither of these teams have anything to play for, Teddy. Yet somehow we're stuck with them here in Week 16.
Yeah, look at line here. Arizona -1, 1.5, total 45. My powering number has Atlanta -2. The markets open Atlanta -1.5, 46 last night. And we've seen nothing but Falcons money. 2.5 is the prevailing number this morning. We've also seen nothing but over money, 47.5, the prevailing total. So we're seeing Falcons money and over money. I wouldn't argue if you wanted to bet Atlanta now. I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot of Arizona money. I continue to give credit to the Cardinals because they continue to fight. They're down 30-7, and they kept fighting yesterday. And they're next thing you know, they're a missed 2-point conversion away from covering. I'll give credit to Jacoby Brissett. I'll give credit to Jonathan Gannon, but they've now lost 6 straight. Their last win, they had to beat the Cowboys in that one game. But remember, this team started 2-0. They're 1-11 since that 2-0 start, and they were down 10-0 before the first offensive snap. Give up a big play touchdown, fumble the kick return. Jonathan Gannon, quote, "We got beat by a good football team. We didn't play well enough, and we're going to go back to work." Yeah. Okay. Atlanta's been favored 6 times this year. They lost 5 of them outright. The only win came by a touchdown at home against Washington. Cousins, a great night on Thursday Night Football. No picks, only sacked once, 8.5 yards per pass attempt. His quote, "Pro football tests you. It keeps me on my knees in prayer. It's been a difficult 2 years since tearing my Achilles. All I know is to trust and to keep going and walk by faith, not by sight." And that can be hard sometimes. Nights like tonight, you get a boost. have to see if Drake London is involved here. If Drake London, I mean, this offense with Pitts and Robinson and London should be pretty close, not unstoppable, but should be better than it's been. London's been hurt. The offense has been hit or miss. It hit last week in Tampa, especially in the fourth quarter. Don't know that necessarily carries over to Arizona, long way from home, for a losing team at the tail end of a disappointing season.
Yay, Teddy, we get a good game here. That is the Jacksonville Jaguars are headed to Denver. And as I mentioned to start the show, seems like Denver cannot lose at Mile High. Jags been playing red hot as well. Kind of let me know what your thoughts are on this matchup. I don't know what to make of the Broncos. Let's just be real. This is a team that I have kind of said has been fraudulent, but the defense is not. Bo Nix, I feel like if he makes no mistakes, this team thrives. If he turns the ball over, it gets risky late.
So you ask me Denver or New England, I'll take Denver. You know what I mean? Of which of the two teams is realer, I will definitely take Denver. Okay. I don't think it's close in that regard, at least in my opinion. From a powering standpoint, I don't have the two teams way apart from each other. But if it's a playoff game between Denver and New England, I'll trust the Broncos more. Plain and simple. And that's also, I'll trust Sean Payton to coach a team in a big game way before I'll trust Mike Vrabel in that regard too. Vrabel, one of the more overrated head coaches in this bettor's opinion. Look headline here. There were 2.5s and 3s for Denver, total 43. My powering number came Broncos 3. The markets opened 3 and 46 last night. What are we seeing today? 3 and 46. There are some 45.5s out there, so not much movement on this one. Long way from home from Jacksonville, not Jacksonville conditions necessarily, traveling to Denver. But since blowing that 29-10 fourth quarter lead in Houston, the Jags, 5-0 straight up, 5-0 straight ATS. They won 4 of those 5 by 17 points or more. Dominant football. Trevor Lawrence yesterday, 5 touchdown passes, the best pass rating of his career. They still couldn't run. Trevor Lawrence was the leading rusher too. But when you're winning the yards per play battle, 7.4 to 4.2, you did something right. You know, Travis Etienne, quote, I don't think I've ever seen Trevor Lawrence like this. And we won a national championship together. He's on fire. You've seen it. The growth that I've seen from him is just unbelievable. Lawrence's quote, definitely this is as confident as I felt. Just a feeling in our locker room and our team and our offense. It's been fun. We just got to continue to build on that and not get complacent. There's still a lot more ahead for us. That, my friends, bet on quote, and Jacksonville has been and may still continue to be something of an undervalued commodity. I've been a Jags believer over the course of the last month or two. As for Denver, I mean, Bo Nix is making plays down the stretch. Again, 4-4 in the red zone for Denver, only 1 of 4 for Green Bay. Defense did the job when they had to. You know, Patrick Surtain, quote, we got a lot of fight. The Packers, they got a great team on both sides of the ball. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. We kept reiterating that throughout the whole ball game. Just finish, and we'll get the job done. In order for us to be great, we've got to find a way to win those games. 11-game winning streak. 9 of those 11 wins have come by a single score. This team finding ways to steal all the close games and gaining confidence in doing so. Quote, Sean Payton, when you get comfortable operating in those games, you don't think anything of it. Same story like Buffalo in that regard.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. The Steelers play Monday Night Football versus Miami tonight, but they have a pretty big game on deck here with the Detroit Lions. Talk to me about Detroit, Teddy, coming off that loss to the Rams. I kind of thought maybe they had a shot late to get the cover for us with no avail.
Yeah, they had a shot. They were in control of that game in the first half. Second half got away from them pretty badly in concerning ways. Look headline here: Detroit -6 / -6.5. Split line there, 49.5 for the prevailing total. My powering number comes Lions only 5.5. The markets opened 6.5 / 7, 49.5 last night. And that's what we're seeing today before the Steelers play on Monday Night Football. Obviously, if Pittsburgh looks good tonight, this line likely to go down. No argument with the concept. If you like the Steelers tonight, parlay them with the Steelers next week. If you want to bet against Pittsburgh tonight, parlay them with the Lions for next week. That's certainly a positive expectation strategy. As for the Lions, that was a really costly loss. You know, Now they're the number 8 seed in the NFC. Only 7 teams get in. The number 17 is the Packers. The Packers swept the Lions in 2 meetings. Detroit ain't winning that tiebreaker. The last 10 games, Lions are 5-5 straight up, and they've alternated wins and losses every week. The longest winning streak has been 1 game during that span. Longest losing streak, 1 game. The offense hung 34 in the Rams. No shame there. But the defense has now allowed 30-plus in each of the last 3 weeks. Jared Goff, we're resilient. We really are. I expect us to bounce back from this. We still have plenty of stuff in front of us. We got a great group that can win a championship here. Dan Campbell, quote, Nakua had a huge day. We couldn't slow him down. Stafford played a really high level, which we knew he'd do. We couldn't disrupt him. And more importantly, stop the run. We weren't able to do that. I always like Dan Campbell's quotes because he's honest. Most coaches aren't. But that being said, I worry a little about the Lions moving forward. Lions off a loss, best ATS record in football.
They are. And you know what, Teddy? I do also love coaches that tell the truth. Do you keep track of who tells the truth and who doesn't? Because we all know Andy Reid loves to lie. We all know Dan Campbell loves to tell the truth. But there's a lot of guys that you kind of have to sit through some of the BS to figure out if they're BSing you.
So Mike Tomlin is truthful in the regular season, but in the preseason, all he does is lie about, not lie, but he changes his mind about his player rotations. Don't trust Tomlin quotes in August, but I trust him in September.
Okay, cool. Mental note for next preseason. All right, a interesting shift here for the Houston Texans. Started off ice cold. Davis Mills got them on a nice hot streak. CJ Stroud keeping it going. Now they've got the easiest team on the board to beat. All they've got to do is beat the Las Vegas Raiders here on Sunday, at least for my survivor pool, please.
Yeah. Look at line here. Texans minus 12.5, 37.5. My powering number, Texans minus 13. The market's open 14 and 37, and we haven't seen any takers on the Raiders at plus 14. 14.5 already popping up for Houston. I don't know if that's their point spread range. You know what I mean? The Raiders, the second time this year, they've been shut out exactly 31-0. Second time this year, they've been shut out 31-0 and not gained 100 yards of offense. Kenny Pickett was 15 of 25 for 64 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. He was sacked 4 times. So that's a net of 29 passing yards on 29 dropbacks and 75 total yards for the game. Pete Carroll, quote, the only good thing that happened, we didn't have anyone hurt today. You know, that's looking for silver linings, coach. Carroll, quote, this is a result against the world champs last year who maybe weren't playing quite like that for a month here or whatever, but they look like it today. It looked like a great team today who they played. Houston, 6-game winning streak, 5-1 ATS. That's our longest winning streak since 2018. Started 0-3. Now they're 1 game behind the Jags. They have a 10-win team, and they're in the wild card position if the season ended today. Nico Collins with a huge game. Fast start, the 10-0 before Arizona even had their first snap. You know, CJ Stroud, quote, we started off a little rough, of course, but you want to be playing your best ball in December going into January. Since we're doing that, it's really good. Every week we just keep progressing. I think that's all we can do right now. D'Amico Ryans, if you go out and handle business each week, you're just putting yourself in a better spot, not really focused on what anyone else in the AFC is doing. Focus on the Texans. Focus on stepping your game up and playing better. I can't lay 14. I'm not taking the Raiders, but this is not a spot I'm going to lay 14 with Houston.
Yeah, that's fair. I am going to use them in Survivor. Hopefully, some of you guys are still alive in your Survivor pools as well. Okay, Teddy, now we can talk about the Bengals versus Miami off this Monday night football game.
Sure. Look at line here was Pick'em, total 50.5. My powering number has the Dolphins minus 2. The markets are showing us 1.5s and 50s out there right now. It's not a mature market. Obviously, Miami plays tonight on Monday Night Football. Same story with Pittsburgh. If you like the Dolphins, you can parlay this week's Monday Night Football with Miami for next week. You'll be getting the number, best of the number, or you can parlay it the other way. You know, you bet Pittsburgh tonight with Cincinnati for next week. If you're right about what happens tonight, you'll be getting the best of the number. Bengals were pretty rough yesterday. And they've been they started 2-0. You know, since then they're 2-10. Although 5-7 against the spread, they covered some numbers. Yards per play, they were outgained 7.9 to 4.2. Burrow threw a pair of picks, including a pick 6, 0-1 in the red zone. Zach Taylor. It starts with our offense getting shut out. Never saw that coming. There's a huge amount of accountability. I have to take time. I have to take with that. It's frustrating to score 0 points. That's unacceptable. Joe Burrow, quote, "This is one of the worst games I've ever played. When your quarterback plays like that, your team's not going to have a chance to win." Burrow, 4 picks in his last 5 quarters. Cincy, in theory, should give better effort this week after not giving max effort in Baltimore yesterday. If they don't, that's another notch against Zach Taylor. But in theory, it's supposed to be a bounce back spot for the Bengals. Whether they're good enough to do anything about it is another question entirely.
All right, I'm not sure he's the only grandpa in the NFL, but that was a funny narrative yesterday about Phillip Rivers. I even had to Google it. I am not much younger than Phillip, but I was shocked to hear the grandparent thing. Either way, hey, he handled business for what he was able to do running this Colts offense. While nothing was prolific, they had real opportunities to win that game as a double-digit underdog. Now the Niners go in on Monday Night Football as just less than a touchdown favorite.
Yeah, look at line here. San Fran -6/6.5, total of 46. My powering number comes San Fran 4.5. The markets opened 5.5, 46.5 last night. That's exactly what we're looking at this morning. Haven't seen any movement on this one. And Kelly, I love you, but shut up with the Phillip Rivers narrative, dude. Phillip Rivers sucked yesterday. Grandpa went 18 of 27 for 120 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 4.4 yards per pass attempt. Nothing but quick release, dinky dunky. He only took 1 sack. The team had 3.7 yards per play. You don't win games in the NFL with 3.7 yards per play, and Jonathan Taylor ran the football effectively. Defense played great, but now what have they lost? 4 straight, 5 out of 6, 2, 3, and 1 ATS during that span. They're out of playoff position in the AFC. Phillip Rivers now, A, they got film on him. B, you watch at the end of the game, he can't throw the ball 30 yards downfield, let alone throwing a Hail Mary at the end. His quote, "It was exciting. Shoot, it was exciting to take a 13-3 lead. But first off, a play that we kind of had all week in the red zone in the area on the down and distance on that hash, we practiced in the exact same spot this week. So when things go like that, they fire you up. Obviously, you throw in the fact that it's been 1,800 days since throwing a touchdown or interception for that matter. So yeah, those boxes were checked. Phillip Rivers is happy. The team lost. They're falling apart. 49ers aren't. They didn't punt yesterday. They scored on the first 5 possessions of the game. Easy as a schedule can be for San Fran. Non-divisional wins, the Saints, the Falcons, the Giants, the Panthers, the Browns, Tennessee. They have Arizona twice. But 4-0 straight up and against the spread their last 4, playing their best football down the stretch, converted 9 of 15 third downs yesterday. Christian McCaffrey, quote, "Brock was awesome today. Did a great job commanding the huddle. Made some plays with his feet. He threw the ball downfield. Guys made plays. Brock was Brock." When you don't punt, you're doing something right. Pretty big difference between these two teams. Although I will give Indy credit. They fought tooth and nail yesterday, but a lot of that was Seattle having a flat spot.
Teddy, you were cracking me up. I'm really glad that you guys can't see me when I'm off screen because I was howling. That was hilarious. Very good points, as always, by Mr. Covers. Teddy, we got about 90 seconds. We're going to let you get out of here so we can head over to WagerTalk today. Andy Lang, Dan Alexander. Anything you would like to leave our audience with?
Sure. Again, I really appreciate all of the comments, all the likes, all the follows. Thank you guys for being so supportive of the show. Legitimately, it gives me energy. It makes me excited to do it every Monday morning. Most importantly, it makes me excited to prep every Sunday night when I'm guest. So thank you for the likes, the comments, the follows. The promo code Super Bowl 189 is going to get you the rest of the NFL season for $189. That's every play, every day, including the prop report all the way through the Super Bowl. No nonsense. Just click on NFL season on my homepage at WagerTalk.com and use promo code Super Bowl 189 to take advantage of that offer. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the games this week. Best of luck with your bets. We'll do it again next Monday, right here on another edition of the WagerTalk NFL Opening Line Report. And, of course, tune in on Sunday with End Zone Live. That, too, it's a good place to spend your Sunday afternoon. It really is.